Hey guys, first of all, let me just apologize for the low video quality. I'm taping on my tablet right now, and the front-facing camera does not have the best quality, so I just wanted to apologize for that. So basically, this video is going to be my sort of mental health journey, story, so to speak, and it's not going to be edited, so I apologize in advance for whatever happens. Yeah, I don't plan on editing it. Okay, so basically, I'll start from when I was 2 years old. When I was a baby, like before I was 2, I lived with my mother and my grandparents in my grandparents' house. And my grandparents sold their house and moved to Michigan. And my mother didn't have a stable place to live at that time, so I went with my grandparents and I stayed with them until I was about 2 years old or so. Then by that time, my mother and my biological father were living together, and so I moved in with them in an apartment. And this is kind of when things started going bad. My biological father was very abusive, always drinking, getting high. He was physically abusive, mentally abusive, just very abusive pretty much in every way. And pretty much my first memories of life are of being abused. So that kind of started everything. Then when I was 3, I started going to school, and the teachers at the school, was a Catholic school, they were also extremely abusive. I don't know if you all are familiar with how Catholic schools were, like how they punish you, hitting you with a ruler, pinching you, making you stand in the corner with your arms in the air. I got sick at lunch once, and I threw up, and I was punished for that at the age of 3, and memories like that really stuck with me. So I don't really know if I was a happy child or not. I don't think so, but I can't really remember everything specifically. I just have these like memories, some good memories, a lot of bad memories. I remember a lot about the abuse, not everything, but I remember some important details, and I definitely remember how it made me feel. So when I was about 7 or 8, I went to a friend's house to spend the night, and I was molested at that friend's house. The details of which I don't remember everything, but I just remember waking up in the bathroom, not having any clothes on, and there being a bath in the tub, and I just knew that somebody had been in there with me, but I couldn't remember who it was, and those memories of that night are still very, shaky for me. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I do know something happened, and somebody was in there with me. I started having my first panic attacks at 12, and everyone thought it was asthma attacks because my sister had asthma, and the doctors had said, maybe I had asthma too, so everyone just thought it was an asthma attack, but I know now that definitely it was a panic attack that I had when I was 12, and that I didn't have that many right then after that, but later on in life I did have panic attacks. When I was 13 is probably when I first started getting depressed, I would say. A close family friend, he was such a close friend, we called him Uncle, even though he wasn't really related to us. He was killed. He got hit by a drunk driver when I was 13, and that was really hard for me. Also at that time, my biological parents got a divorce, and my mother got remarried to my stepfather, who pretty much raised me from then on. My biological father and my mother had been separated since I was 6. Finally, after he had abused my mother, she finally put him out. And me and my mother, we always had conflict about that because I always felt like she did not protect me as best she could. You know, she put him out after he abused her, but when he was abusing me, he got to stay in the house. So that was always something that my mother and I had conflict about, and it pretty much remained unresolved. My mother passed away when I was 21, so we never really resolved that. Fast forward to about 18, that's when I started developing more bulimic-like tendencies. I started abusing laxatives when I was senior in high school. I had tried purging and stuff like that at a younger age, but I just couldn't do it. But I finally started purging with laxatives when I was 18, senior year in high school. And then I finally learned how to purge freshman year of college. But freshman year of college, I was really unhappy. I did not like being away from home. I did not like where I was. I was really depressed. I would abuse NyQuil so I could sleep all the time when I wasn't in class and when I wasn't doing homework. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I would just stay in my room, binging, purging, abusing laxatives, abusing NyQuil. And I had a single, so I didn't have a roommate or anything. So I was by myself and I could just do whatever I wanted, and there really was no one to stop me. Sophomore year of college was a little better in the sense that I did start making some friends. I still feel like overall I never made as many friends as I could have or made the kind of relationships that I could have just because I had so many personal issues going on. My bulimia got really bad sophomore year. Even though as far as friendships and stuff, I was happier. And then the summer after my sophomore year is probably when my bulimia was the worst for those 3 months. I lost 30 pounds in like 2.5 months. And of course I ended up gaining it back, but at that time I lost a lot of weight and I was really unhealthy. I started having stomach problems. My stomach was always hurting. I was bloated all the time. It was really awful. I had to go on medicine for my stomach because it was hurting so much. So that kind of made me stop purging for a while. Well, not purging as much. And slowly the weight came back. Well, it didn't come back right away. I was exercising a lot during junior year of college to keep the weight off. And I was weighing myself like every day and stuff like that. So it was the summer after junior year that my mother passed away, and 3 weeks after she passed away, I had to go back to college for my senior year, and that is when I started gaining weight. I was just so depressed and I had so much anxiety. Like when my mother was dying, I started having panic attacks all the time. During that summer, I ended up going to the emergency room twice for panic attacks because I thought I was literally dying and I didn't know what to do. When I got back to school, I was still having panic attacks. I had a roommate, but she was never in the room, so pretty much I was by myself. And I couldn't sleep at night, and I was just having panic attacks all the time. My grades were slipping. I always had straight A's, but I started getting a lot of B's. During senior year, I just didn't care. And everyone was so happy, like, oh my God, we're seniors. This is awesome. And I was just so depressed and anxious all the time that I really just wasn't happy about it. And so senior year is when I started cutting. It was towards the end of first semester, like, or right before Thanksgiving break, when I started cutting. And it just kind of got worse and worse and worse and kind of spiraled out of control. By graduation, like, it was pretty obvious that I had cuts on my arm, and my not my parents, but my stepdad was concerned. My grandparents were concerned. My grandparents had come to stay with us after my mother passed away, and they were concerned. So I started seeing a therapist. I saw that therapist for 3 years, and I was diagnosed with depression. And so I was on antidepressants, and I had this psychiatrist, and he really didn't understand me at all. And I started taking medicine. I kept switching medicines because I either had side effects or they weren't working. And some of the side effects, like my hair was falling out, or like one of the medicines made me really itchy all the time. It was just a mess. And I kept trying to explain to him, like, they're not really working. I need something different. I need something different. And finally, my therapist was like, I think you might have bipolar disorder. And I switched psychiatrists to the psychiatrist that I have now. And I've been with her now for a little less than 2 years. And she was the one who started me on mood stabilizers. And those worked a little bit better. But they weren't really doing everything that I needed. I also switched therapists. And the therapist that I have now, I think, is better than the one I had before. There was nothing, like, the one I had before was good in the sense that she really helped me get through those years that I was seeing her. But when I went to my new therapist, I really could tell the difference, that she really kind of could understand me better and help me more. So I'm still with her, and I'm still with my psychiatrist. So as of now, I'm on Lamictal. I'm on 300 milligrams a day, extended release. I'm on 40 milligrams of Prozac a day. And then in the evenings, I take 5 milligrams of Abilify, and I have Xanax. The Xanax is as needed for when I'm really anxious. I don't take it every day. And those are the medicines I'm on now. So now I still struggle with, for one, taking my medicine. In 2012, my grandfather passed away. I had another really bad, bout of depression. And then I went straight from that depression into mania. And I stopped taking my medicine. I wasn't taking any medicine at that time. And my moods were just up and down, up and down. But they're starting to be better now that I'm on the Abilify. So now I'm still struggling with taking my medicine every day. With cutting, I started burning, and benching and purging are still an issue for me, as well as anxiety and depression. I haven't really been having panic attacks, but I still suffer from the anxiety and depression part of the bipolar. Sometimes I am hypomanic, but it's not as much as I am depressed. So, wow, this video is really long, 14 minutes. That's pretty much an overview of my mental health story. I didn't really go into all the details just because I didn't think it could fit in one video. But if you guys have any questions, just put them down below, and I can do another video to answer the questions if people have questions or comments or anything. So I guess that's it. If you got through this entire video, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. And that's it. Thank you guys. Peace.